Again, ladies and gentlemen, before we begin the service, we ask if you have a cell phone or pager, if you could turn it to the silent mode.
Mizmor leDavid, Adonai reilech sar, b'nais de'asher b'tzeini, al menuchei sina aleini, nashi shivyancheni maglit tzedek ma'achamai. Gam ki el ritzol ma'aves le'ira rak yatei madi, shivtecha mishantecha ma'enachamoni. Taroch lefanai shulchan neged tzerzerai, dishantav Hashem roishikei sirevaya. אחתי וחסד לפני כל ימי חיי ושבתי בסדיני לערך ימים. Psalm by David. Hashem is my shepherd, I shall lack nothing. He leads me beside still waters, He revives my soul. He directs me in the path of righteousness for the sake of His name. Even if I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for You are with me. Your rod and Your staff, they will comfort me. You will prepare a table before my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil, my cup is full. Only goodness and kindness shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord for many long years. And the long years and the long life that we talk about in such an occasion is obviously the life in the world to come, which the soul is eternal, and that's what the psalmist is referring to here. There's several psalms that we have to read and several special prayers, including acceptance of the judgment that usually is read by the rabbi or the mourners, that they accept the decision of Hashem, of God, and thus proclaim that God is just, which is what Angel just said. When she tore, she didn't start crying. She just said, God is just. He's the true judge. And last night my wife and I spent time with Chana, with Angel. And recounted on how so many things happened recently in the last few days that were almost like there was some kind of a conductor, leading all the events that eventually very special. I'm sure it'll be discussed during the Shiva. With your permission, I know it's cold and starting to rain, etc. I'm going to try to go as fast as I can. I read faster in Hebrew, I think. Amarti l'Adonai, Adonai ata tevasi balalecha, l'kdoshim asher ba'aretz hema v'adirech chesivam, yirbu atzvei samach, ermaru v'alaschim midam, v'alasas shmeisam, al sefosai, Adonai menazchol ki v'chasiyot atum chgerali, Chavalim naftuli banim imavdach la shafra alai, Avar chesadina shiri atzani avlelo isir chiliyo isai shivis yadena lenegdi samid kimi miri balemoit. לכן שמח ליבי ועגל כבדי אף אשכן לבטח לא תעזוב נפשי לשאול תיתן חסידך שחס תדייני הרחיים סביב עצמכיס אס פניך נצח אל מלא רחמים שייך מרוימים המצא מנוחה לחיינו על כנפי השכינה במעלות קדושים וטהרים כזיהר הרקיע מזהירים אס נשמס יוסל בן אברהם פנחס הלוי שהלך לעולמי בעבור שנדבו צדקה בעד אזכרת נשמסי בגן עדן תהא מנוחסי לכן בעל הרחמים יסתירהו בססר כנפיו לעולמים ויצרר ויצרחם אס נשמסי אדינוי ונחלסי וינוח על משקו ובשלום ונאמר אמן. O God, full of compassion, who dwells on high, grant true rest upon the wings of the Shekhinah, the divine presence, in the exalted spheres of the holy and pure, who shine as the resplendence of the firmament to the soul of George Levine, Hebrew name Yosel, son of Albert of Avraham Pinchas Halevi from the tribe of Levites, who has gone to his supernal world. For charity has been donated in remembrance of his soul. May his place of rest be in paradise, in Gan Eden. Therefore may the Almighty One and the Merciful One shelter him with the cover of his wings forever and bind his soul in the eternal bond of life. God is his heritage, and may he rest in peace in his resting place, and let us say Amen. Huh? To do what? To say things? Because you have to say some remarks. Huh? Yeah, it's okay. Again, because it's a little bit cold, I think we're going to go straight, before we actually cover the grave, to ask maybe Angel to say a few words.
Hi everyone. Thank you for coming to honor my father George. Many of you have known me since my youth and knew my father when he was younger. And if you knew me, you know I gave my father a hard time. And I'm very grateful for your friendship in spite of all that. I love you all very much. I know my father loved you all very much. And I thank you for all the consideration and thoughtfulness you've shown us. I love you all very much. Thank you for coming.
Angel is not a person of action, of words, I'm sorry. She's a person of only action. So then I'll say a few words if you don't mind. Because that is actually a mitzvah to eulogize the person who passed away. George Levine, Yosel, son of Avraham Pinchas from the tribe of Levi, of the 12 tribes of Israel. He was born in 1940, and his 82nd birthday was last month. After talking to Angel last night for a nice settled time when she was able to finally settle down, I realized, that he was moving all the time. He was always in motion. And at first I got the impression maybe, because he was a mechanic, he loved cars and stuff like that, and even bicycles. He was a car hiker. But I think the common denominator of all that, and especially after, thank God, I had the merit to meet him several times. I think both at the Chabad house, maybe at the hospital or some other time. And thank God I had the merit also to bar mitzvah him. I put on the tefillin for the first time. There's a beautiful video which I hope maybe Angel will share. But I noticed it said that George was really moving all the time. It's like the first time I met him, he was always it was not just moving in space, he was moving inside him. It was like, always something, he's really a live person. And it did so in a practical way. He may have been a dreamer, but he attended to what needed to be done, which again, to kind of make it a little shorter, I call it the trio. He made sure that the trio is taken care of, which is actually Evelyn, himself, and Angel. That trio always had what they needed. And he worked very hard to make all of that happen all the time. The other thing that hit me very much when I heard that from Angel, but again, she's not a woman of words. I mean, we were sitting, having tea, eating something, so she was calm, she was seated, she was able to talk for a longer time. She said something, a statement, she's very straight to the point, real. Angel is real. And she said, he had a lot that he wanted to do, but he did not achieve what he desired to do. Thank God I've been a rabbi for 36 years, and I don't like this part of the job for weddings, but I never heard that from any of the mourners over someone. They always try to say, well, he achieved, and he achieved, and he did, and he did. So I want to tell you a statement in the Gemara, because actually when I heard it, I was a little bit, taken aback. But it can happen that a person, I said, what do you mean? So was he frustrated? Was he, she said, well, yeah, he was somewhat frustrated. After the robbery, things didn't go well, and never really picked back up. But she added, but he enjoyed what he had. And he loved life. So I'm going to tell you here, as a rabbi and as an emissary of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, which is really what gives me any kind of authority here, spiritual authority, besides the ordination. But the Gemara, the Talmud says that there isn't a human that leaves this world with more than 50% of his aspirations, desires fulfilled. So he's not in bad shape, because what you notice he didn't fulfill is the extra 50%, because he said he enjoyed what he had and that he loved life. And I can attest to that. This person, if I saw him, how you react to the other person. If a person has a gloomy face, so you're like this. And if a person has a happy face, you start smiling. And some people are more or less reactive than others. I think I am pretty reactive, especially to somebody joyful. Right, Steve? You see some, thank God, you see some people that are just exude this life and joy to you. And what I'm happy, since I noticed that he was always moving, right? Outside and inside, it's like, this is the first time he's resting. This is the first time he's at rest. And I saw him, he enjoyed life. He did. He was not, you said, he was not ungrateful. You have people here that think they reached 80% of what they aspired. Those are very short-sighted people. If that's all they have as aspirations. And they're still very upset and frustrated and drink themselves to I don't know what. Your father was lucid and happy and loving life, at least until the last I saw of him. And I think I noticed the idea that he's moving and he's alive, and he's happy and he loved people, everybody. That's right. And then he went through this world. He was happy. That's a greater achievement than anyone here. It's like, I think some great person said, can't remember his name, that the hardest thing to do on a daily basis is to be in a good mood. This is like from one of those, I don't know, Voltaire or one of these great philosophers. There's something very deep in that, because we're always achieving. We're called human beings. And your father, I think, not human doings, and your father, I think, did achieve what a human can achieve. And in a happy way, and not in an ungrateful way. So he's a great guy, really. And as you said, in the bottom of everything that I took, bottom line is he was a good guy. And you tell me, I remember once we had a conference of different rabbis from all around the region, the Midwest, and they kind of were saying, like, where do you want to be when you get old? By your son or by your daughter? And I think the general decision was by the daughter. And, because the daughter is all, And I think he would be happy that even though he was a cool guy, he jokes around about everything, even about Angel, about me, about this, about that. But I don't know too many people that had the merit to have such a child, such a daughter, somebody to, and that just shows on him. You see, this is a screen. Beyond this screen, there's a whole other life going on, and we have to train ourselves to see beyond that screen. And that screen is opaque. It's not a clear screen, so it's opaque. So most of us are stuck by the screen. But when you look at values of life, so for example, I never saw him upset. I visited so many people at that kind of time of dying. A very good friend of ours just passed away, Edith Altman. But thank God, even after she was in a coma, my son, and she couldn't talk in anything else. At the end, she smiled and she blushed. And I think, the suffering we saw of your father, my dear wife Rivka, mentioned, it's an atonement. It says it's good. A person who suffers before he passes away suffers less up there. But the values that you see is that joy that he had, that he was not ungrateful, that he didn't complain to God, why? He enjoyed life and people, right? All sorts of people. And then you see the other value. Who can say that he when he's in his 20s, 30s, 40s, I'm going to have a daughter like Angel? We're all gathered here. Can a person say that about themselves? That they're going to be there day and night, no matter, it's not rain or shine. If it's Yom Kippur, if it's Passover, if it is anything, like a soldier, the woman of action. I'm her rabbi. She learns with me once a week for the last, years that we've known each other. And she comes every day, picks up the challah and runs to her father. Talks a little bit with Rivka, runs to her father. Day and night. So I wouldn't call her Angel. I'll call her the sentinel. She was the sentinel standing on the side. I don't know another human being that has done that kind of thing. Well, I do, actually. my sister. Did it for my father too. I did it also for a couple of years. But definitely he didn't have anybody else. He had one child, a unique child. And I think it's important, and I know I'm not saying this for Angel so much, although she has to be comforted knowing that her father, did fulfill and achieved a lot of what his desires are, whether he knew it or he didn't. But that's really the value. I'm going to let you go. I just want to say I'm keeping, I have in my library proudly the Zamansky book of the family. I don't know if there are any Zamanskys over here. Oh, that's the Zamanskys. And it's a beautiful book. I think the family really covers the whole 20th century of Chicago living and Chicago life. I will recommend to try to look into it if you don't have it. God willing, you should be really comforted. And he passed away on a day that is called the Day of Redemption. When I wrote here, the date and so on, said the 20th of Kislev, the holiday of redemption, Yosel ben Pinchas. It's like redemption. So it's a very, very special day. And don't forget, he's not there. He's there. And we are promised in the bottom line of the principles of monotheism and Judaism that we must believe in the revival of the dead. So God willing, Yosel, we're still gonna party, right? Here, in a healthy body and a healthy soul. Yeah, no.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's customary that we participate in the burial as family and friends. You may go from either side of the mound. We ask that you watch your step as you approach the grave. It's also customary that you don't pass the shovel from person to person. Just place the shovel back into the mound.
So I'll demonstrate it so that you know. So to show that you're doing it unwillingly, don't do it in normal way like this. Please the first. This is symbolic. The first week. Afterward, people may want to push more. And the regular way, obviously, to actually vary. But the first three, the first shovels, you have to do stuff back here. You're the famous uncle. Alright, so, and then when you put it back down, you don't put it back down like this, and you drop it so the other person can come and take it. And don't worry, they have now a truck that's going to cover the grave. Okay?
If you don't want to participate, you may go on out.
You don't throw dust. Right. It's not respect. There's not much to do after that. We'll try to get you out of here as soon as possible.
Ladies and gentlemen, as the rabbi mentioned, once you have placed some earth into the grave, you may return to your cars. Also, Angel will be shooting Shiv at the Chaikin residence, 1221 Pine Point in Glenview, after the burial until 8 p.m. tonight.